Hello and welcome to Overview Overwatch. So this is the channel where I get to sit down with some members of the Overwatch community and pick their brains on some questions that I have for them. So today I'm joined by Mel. Mel, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello there, my name is Mel, but my online pseudonym is Pots and Pans. I am the content director and social media manager for Oblivione, which is a team in European contenders.
Perfect. So before we go any further, then Mel, I need to know who your main is.
Uh, I have, for about a year and a half, played Brig as my most played character. Uh, Pretty unpopular choice, I
Yeah,
understand,
you could say
but
that. Um,
enjoy
so
it.
we haven't seen too much Brig. We saw a little bit of Brig in the Jotes meta, but do you think they could possibly do with a balance change?
I don't know what they could do to Brig necessarily to make her better. I think with the strength of Kiriko,
Mm,
she's kind of just obsolete because, especially since Kiriko can two tap her very easily because she's got such a big hitbox for
yeah.
support that it makes it quite difficult to play her into Kiriko.
So not necessarily something for Brig, but definitely like a retuning there for Kiriko might see a
Yeah,
little bit more Brig being played. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So like you said, you're a content director and social media manager then for EXO. This is just it's an interesting role in the scene. And Kev, who's the manager of EXO, he described it as the most underappreciated role in the industry. What do you think?
I do think it's a role that not many people understand fully what goes into it. Like, people just see it as making Twitter posts, which obviously it's part of it, but like there's more to it than that. It's a lot about like making sure everything's organized and knowing what to post and when and the most efficient way to get it out. So it's a very management focused job, hence the name social media manager and content director. You are orchestrating things. You're making sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah. And how did you get into the role then to begin with?
I was just an average watcher of Overwatch esports for the longest time. Like, I got into it around mid 2020, which it's pretty late for like someone as involved in the scene as me. Like, I spend a lot of time interacting with people in the scene, so for to join in mid 2020 is late. But I just really got into it because I played Overwatch for the longest time, but I only got into the esports side of it, so I had a knowledge of the game and everything. But I just I wanted to convey my interest in the game, and I thought social media management would be a good way of doing it because it's a very outward role. So you can really you can show that you know what you're talking about in Overwatch. You can show your enthusiasm through the role. So that's why I was super interested in that. And I posted my first LFT for it back in April, but I didn't get anything. Like, which isn't a surprise. I had no team
Yeah.
experience. I didn't have too many followers, so I wasn't really expecting to get anything. But I thought I'd throw myself out there, get my name out there. But I posted about four more. I'll probably look pretty desperate, like by the time. But in November, I posted one, and luckily, Kev, who is the manager for EXO, managed to stumble upon it. They needed one. He was willing to take a chance on me, even though I was a bit unproven, and I ended up joining EXO. So that was very exciting for me because it's a lot of players I've watched for a long time. It's
Yeah.
a very well established team,
Yeah.
respected team. So
It's a
I
big
was very
leap,
happy
you
to join
know.
EXO.
It is a big leap to go from, say, that kind of no experience into the top of tier two in Europe. You know, it's a big, and it's kudos to you as well. Like you've done a fairly good job of it since joining, as you can see on the Twitter and things like that for EXO. Um, So you said it earlier, it's not just about posting the tweets. So what are some of the tasks then that you might do on a weekly basis?
Well, I need to make sure that the graphic designers know they're going to be doing. So our graphic designers, we have Azu, who you've interviewed,
Yeah, that's right.
and Spearer, who is another graphic designer. Spearer was brought on. I hope I'm saying his name right, by the way. But he was brought on as is North American
Yeah.
and the team's European. So if we needed a scorecard fixed, like as soon as the game was done, Azu couldn't do that. So we brought him on to help out with that. But Azu did our pre-game graphics,
Mm.
and I just need to make sure Azu knows who we're playing, what time, all that information to go on the scorecard, and then just keep Bureau updated during the game itself, so he knows what to do for the scorecard. Because if we're like in the run it back tournament, in the round robin stage, how it worked, we played 2 matches and then 3 matches within a 2 day span,
Mm.
and like Azu would have to make a ton of graphics if we were going to do like individual match posts for each game. So we thought it best to put them all in one image and
Yeah.
just have, so Azu could make the template for it and then Spear could just
Okay.
update it. So
Yeah.
just making sure stuff like that, everything goes smoothly, like so there's no like confusion about anything.
Yeah. Brilliant. Um, One of my favorite things that comes up on Twitter when I'm thinking about social media managers is sort of with the Overwatch League teams, seeing a bit of spice and that kind of banter and trash talking and things like that. I mean, I love it personally. I think it's brilliant, and generally it is well received. But what about you? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think this kind of trash talking and bantering is better left to the players?
I think you need a healthy balance. Like you can you can't trash talk all the time because like one, you build up your brand to be come off as arrogant, come off as
Mm,
rude, like, and two, like it just if you do it too much, it sort of loses its impact when
yeah,
it happens. So you need to have a balance. Like we've done a little trash talk with SMC and stuff, but we don't hate them over there. Like
yeah,
it's just in good fun. Like and the players they're often friends with people on the teams, so they can banter, they can jest with them like on Twitter and stuff, and people will know it's all in good fun. So long as you're not like insulting people,
yeah,
I think banter is a great thing for the fan, especially because the fans get involved.
yeah,
Like you've seen with like in Overwatch League this season, I've really enjoyed the Atlanta London
yeah,
rivalry that's brewed. Like
yeah,
because those are two cities that they don't have any connection.
mm,
That's a nice organic rivalry that's brewed.
yeah,
Like and like we saw some things. I remember London posted something. It was like National Dog Day, and they posted a picture of the Atlanta players, and there's this whole interaction with Gator and London, and they were
yeah,
arguing with each other. And it's like at that point, it turns less from banter into sort of
yeah,
like anger at each other. And
yeah.
like I feel like that's the point when it's gone too far. You should just have little fun insults, and if it gets to that point, then maybe tune it down a little.
And
Like
and
so,
do you think it was the fault of London with the original post, or do you think possibly it was just kind of not received well? Like, so they made that post about the players. Do you think they shouldn't have made that to begin with, or do you think after the fact, once we've seen how the reactions were, do we tune it back then, or have they gone too far already?
um,
Because it's hard to
it's
know.
a tough thing to call
Yeah.
because like you could take the approach that you should trash talk on like match day, like while it's happening, to bring in people to watch.
Mm,
Like, because if you're saying this stuff, people will be like, "Oh, the game's on and London's winning or Atlanta's winning, so
yeah.
I'm gonna go support my team and I can like joke at the other team's expense a wee bit." But like, if if it's just some random day, then maybe you should not always go for it. I don't. It's hard to determine if London truly was in the wrong,
Mm,
but maybe they should have asked Atlanta what they thought of it or something. I don't know
before
how
it went out. Yeah,
interconnected the social people are in Overwatch League, but
fair.
maybe
And
that's something they could consider. Have a talk with Atlanta about
yeah,
if they want to escalate this rivalry and play it up for the fans, or if they want to like do something together to show
mm,
that they're friends.
yeah, that's fair. And of course, the job is not all trash talk and memes. There are some really important aspects, and the social media managers they're on the receiving end of a lot of the comments when it comes to the team, the players, things like that. Um, can you speak to sort of what that experience is interacting with the fans in that regard?
I I enjoy interacting with the fans because I'm a big fan myself. Like at the end of the day, I am just a fan who stumbled into this position, and I'm ever grateful for it. Like, but seeing fans get excited over the team's games, over the team's plays that I can share, it's a great experience. And even if you get a negative comment, like I know that like 99.9% it's not directed at me.
Mm,
Like, so they don't affect me too much. But like in the Overwatch League, obviously, way bigger sphere, more people know stuff that's going on. So social media managers can be right in the crossfire.
yeah,
Like you have the players here and the managers here, and they make some dumb decision, and the social media manager is the one that will get all the flack on social media. So it's sadly just a part of social media management that you'll have to get used to,
mm,
as unpleasant as it can be. But if you can handle it, I'd say the interactions you have with the positive fans definitely make it worth it.
yeah, fair. And just thinking about the players, like I mean, the EXO players, like that, it's such a stacked
Mm.
roster. Like I mean, the players market themselves in a sense. Um, people know what they're expecting when they watch an EXO game. But in your experience, the marketing these players, do you find the players enjoy getting involved in social media, or are they more likely to shy away from it in general?
I'd say it's a player to player thing. If the player is more naturally reserved, they'll probably not want to get too involved with it. Like we were planning on doing some player predictions. Like you see a lot of teams doing that, just what their players think the games will be. It's good. It gets people talking. Like it shows what your players think. It's a good way of starting a discussion and bringing a little bit of your players' personality
Yeah,
through, and even in a minor way like that. And so, like all our players were pretty happy to do the predictions, which was good. Like
yeah,
because I just popped them in a channel on Discord and they'd fill them out after their scrim. Done. Like, and so the only reason we couldn't do it was just issues with timing and the graphic designer's schedules. So
fair.
I'm hoping that's something we can do next tournament cycle
Yeah.
if I'm still there, or if everything's fine with contenders. So God knows what could happen. But
Yeah,
it's a very volatile
it
thing tier
is
two.
a,
So
a little bit up in the air.
the players definitely it's a it's like a mix. Like you have some players that will always like that. Like I know Shockwave, he likes to retweet the the victory results So he's involved with the social
Yeah.
media. He's a promoter of it because he's got like 2.5 times the amount of followers that EXO does on his own.
Mm.
Like, so just having him retweet, it's a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
even if I don't know if he's like ever thinking this will be good for the brand, but it is good. So
Yeah.
it's
Fair.
good to have the players
Fair.
interact with the social media.
Yeah, just thinking about the we were just talking about contenders and the future in that instance, but um I want to just ask like how you found working in tier 2, like the just thinking about things like, how were the fans? What was it like working with the team? Did you find the workload too much? The social media manager kind of has a unique perspective. You're going to see things differently than players and managers and coaches. So I just want to hear your thoughts on what it was like in Europe in tier 2.
Well, I greatly enjoyed my time in tier two. I was like obviously didn't have very much to do up until a few days before Run It Back started. So the only posts that I made before it started were a happy birthday post for Psycho and the roster reveal. I was very excited at the roster reveal. That was like that's our biggest post that I've posted. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was sort of surreal to see my name next to these people that I've looked up to and respected for so long, and the like. So that was very exciting, and uh, overall, like I've had some issues with how tier two has handled it. Like the biggest thing I was a wee bit annoyed at with how tier two was handled was the sharing of the broadcast schedule. Like, because as a social media manager, when we played 3 games in a day, they're not all going to be streamed
Mm.
because there's only 3 games streamed
Yeah.
in a day. So, like, it's sometimes our game wouldn't be streamed at all. But
Yeah.
like, I remember it was the second day of Run It Back, and we played Sheer Cold, Choose Money Crew, and Young and Beautiful, and we had no clue what game was going to be streamed. Like, the way we found out was at the end of the broadcast. We found out at the exact same time the public found out what games were going to be broadcasted. And, like, I would like to know because in
Yeah.
our tweets, I put in brackets if a game's being broadcasted. So I'd like to know ahead of time so I
Yeah.
can write out a thing and then so I can just have it ready to go. Like, so if I could complain about one thing, it would be that. It would
Okay.
just be I'd like a good broadcast calendar. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, when you get to double Elam, they
Yeah.
have to do that because that's all dependent on how the round robin goes. In a group stage like that, I think a broadcast schedule would be a really
Mm.
beneficial thing to all the social media managers in
Yeah,
tier two.
I don't think you're asking for too much there either.
Yeah,
It
because
seems like
we knew on the first day, like our game against Raspberry, that was that was the first game broadcasted, so we knew it, and I was like,
mm,
oh great. But then we didn't know
yeah.
what was going to be broadcasted until the end of that broadcast. So it's like, why even tell us that? Like, if you're not going to tell us this,
Yeah.
like, just seems a bit all over the place, and
A little
that's
bit
something I would like.
yeah, a little bit disorganized in there, all right.
Yeah.
So just going back to kind of your work and thinking about, being a social media manager, do you have in your head, when you go to post a tweet or when you go to do some sort of work, like your kind of do's and don'ts? What are some things that you avoid doing um, as the brand, and what are some things that you strive to do as the brand?
Well, before I started posting, I was told the sort of themes and the things the brand sort of wants to represent, and I was asked as well what themes I see EXO to represent, and I said like it's a team built upon its dominance because of their insane run in B
Mm.
sides tournament. Like, so I said, like they had this, like, well, we still do, but this purple and gold, very regal color scheme.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I heavily leaned into the sort of we're coming back to retake our throne like thing, like,
Yeah.
and so it worked out really well with the name of the tournament, Run It Back. Like
Fair.
that's quite literally what we did. Like, so leaning into that and just having an identity for your team and how you word your posts, I think is a good thing to have. For the don'ts, like we said, don't overdo your sort
Yeah.
of like bantering, and don't have it turn from banter into trash talk into insults. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want it to like slippery slope down into some like just hatred. Like,
Yeah.
you just want to have fun. You want tier two to be a nice place to be, like, because like there's no point in really like bantering unless the end goal of it is for people to enjoy it. So
Yeah.
just don't get petty or anything. Just enjoy what you're doing. Have other people enjoy what you're doing, and build your brand up to be a strong one with a unique identity.
Brilliant. Okay, Mel, any final words?
No, I think that's all good.
Oh, good. Okay. Who would you like to see me interview next?
I would. Well, you've covered about half of the EXO content team at this point, like
I
with
have
me,
to be
Azu,
fair.
and Kev. But I'd honestly quite like Hey It's Cress, who is our video person. He's a partnered creator with Overwatch, doing montages. He did our most recent montage. He
Yeah.
did our roster video,
Okay.
and he made his own. He got into the Ramatra like early games, and he made a montage of that. And he's brilliant at it. So that's like a thing you haven't talked to a video editor yet. So I think that could be a good one
Very
to
good.
go for. So maybe consider him.
Mel, thank you very, very much for your time. Okay, so this has been another episode of Overview. We will see you again next Sunday for another episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care.